Yes, it's visible.
Yeah, now I
Yes.
yeah, now I
Okay.
can see.
Okay. Fine. So yes. So we are going to see this. That way we add assets and communities and domains using this Collibras REST API user interface. Today we'll be continuing with adding attributes. So now I'm clicking on this post for adding attribute and try it out. So yes. So I have already configured. So I'm going to add a definition. This is the UUID for the attribute definition. So the attribute type ID I have given. This is the resource ID, and then the asset ID. So for which asset, the asset ID in which I need to add the definition. So for example, I will give this partial payment UUID in here. Yes, and then the type of the attribute ID is this one. Like this will add the definition, and the value is high. Today's date, for example, 0504, and then I'm executing it. So the response code is 201 and it is successfully added. So that day it thrown some error while adding this because I gave the single quote in here. That's why like while execution it got like 400 we received the response. So so we need to give the double quotes for any kind of value. That is the thing we missed that day. Yes. So now let's check this asset ID whether the definition is getting added or not. Like I will I will re-navigate to into here. So if you see the definition is getting added. I like this today's date I have given. So this is how we'll be adding definitions. So we can have multiple attributes, like we can add it in bulk using like, so we can add it in bulk using this add attributes. So here like the first attribute we need to have like, and then the asset ID of the particle. Like for this at business time I'm going to add this kind of attribute like such as a definition or descriptive example. So we can give the resource ID and then the asset ID and then the value we need to add it. Likewise for separating by comma we can give multiple JSON like this format, and then we can execute so that we can add attributes for multiple assets at a single go. So this is also possible. And then now let's try on adding relations. Yeah, I have configured that. So I'm going to try it out. So this is for acronym. Let me show this it in here. So I'm opening the settings. So I'm going to relate the business term with acronym. Like I can see business term has acronym and acronym. So as already we have business term and acronym, I'm going to add this relation. So this is the resource ID, and then the source ID like the business term. Like for example, if I want to relate this partial payment business term that we have with this PP acronym. So if I want to relate this partial payment with this acronym, I can go ahead. So now as it is already linked, if you can see has acronym. So this relation is already added. I'm going to relate this paid in full to FP. So I'm opening this page for getting the UUID. And then so the acronyms UUID will be coming in here. So let's see. So I'm going to execute this, and we can see it is 201. So the paid in full is related with FP. So let's check in Collibra. So we can see has acronym FP. So this is this is how we'll be adding attributes and relation. We can do it in bulk, and also we can delete, and we can perform some of the operations like add, change, update, or remove. Like this kind of operation in this attributes, domains, communities, comments, and tags from REST API using this user interface or otherwise using any kind of Python code. So this is all about the REST API lab. And now we'll be moving on to how to do with workflows using Java API. So,
Yeah, Nani, one question here. So you said
mm,
we were doing this using REST API, right?
yes, yes,
So
yeah,
REST
this,
API looks relatively easier. So I don't know why we'll use another thing, Java or Python.
yeah, it's up to us. So if they are giving a kind of development work for importing assets in an automated fashion, we can use like it's up to us. If we are convenient with the code, then we can go with that. Or otherwise, if we are convenient with Java and Groovy, then we can go with this. So it's up to us. We can decide in real-time scenario. So these are the things we can do with Collibra. So in this lab, so whatever Collibra in Collibra, whatever we can do, we can see. So yeah, according to our requirement, we can go with this. If we feel this is a bit easy, but for any kind of automation, we can't use this. Like if we are going to import a 10 to 20, like 1,000 of assets, and I have all the details like this like if I have all the asset ID and target ID, source ID, all the attributes and relations, if I'm having this type of content, then I can go ahead with this. But for example, say if you don't have this, for most of the scenario, we need to search for each asset, we need to search the UUID. For each relation, we need to search the resource ID. So yeah, if you think it is a bit messy and I need to go up with any kind of automation, then you can use Python or Java or any kind of code. So we can also do it using automation. So if the asset count is limited and if you are interested in REST Core API user interface, then we can go with this. Yeah, it's up to us. Yeah, let's. Okay, just a minute, guys. I'll be back in 2 minutes. Yes, and guys, today I'll be like, I have a conflict, so I'll be dropping off at 9 a.m. So until that, we can see. Yes. So yeah. Okay. So yes. So it's up to us. We can like utilize the Collibras feature. So based on our requirement too, and yep. So let's continue. And so if you remember, we have cardinality and validation rules part in this Collibras operating model lab that we are yet to see. So we can complete that and then we can move to this Java API and workflows topic. So yes, let me open that. So for that, I will open any of the assets, and I'm clicking on the business term like the type business term or any kind of assets. So as a part of operating model, we can design the attributes for our asset types. So if we think this attributes are not needed, if you think these are the characteristics I need to have in my business term, then we can go ahead and we can modify the change if we are sysadmin. So if you see the characteristics, I can modify this. I will be adding the edit access. For example, if I think I should have only one definition for a business asset. So in the like like our last example, we see there is two definition, high and then high with the today's date, because I have like configured the property of the business term in my DGC. Like I can have like as many of definition as I want. So max is not limited. Like the definition, I can give 10 definition, 20 definition. Likewise, so if I think there should be only one definition for a business term and that be valid, so then I can limit it in here. Minimum one, maximum one. If I think like so, for example, note, which is an optional attribute. So if I think a node should be there for a particular business term, otherwise it is not valid. For any kind of business term, a node should be there. If I think like that, then I can set minimum 1. So if minimum is 0, these are like not mandatory. If minimum is 1, yeah, it is mandatory. Like for the status to be complete, it should be like it will be mandatory. Likewise, I can have like I think I have up to 3 nodes for any kind of asset. Then I can have it maximum 3. Likewise, so I can control the characteristics of the business term, all the asset types, technology asset, and then the data asset. So I can control the characteristics as such. So I can control the attributes definition and then group by business asset. So if I think a business term should be grouped by only one business asset, then I can set it in 1. So that one business term will not be grouped by multiple business assets. Likewise, if I think so, I can configure it in here. All the relations are given and the attributes are given, and then domain types. So usually the Collibra is limiting, like business asset domain will be having business dimension and report catalog. So if we see the tick mark in here, glossary is checked, and then yeah, glossary is only checked because in glossary only it is Collibra suggested, like by default it will be like this. So if glossary will be only holding the business term. So if I think I need to have some business term in code list or report catalog, I can check in these domains. So that in our Collibra DGC, I can add business term in this domain too, like report catalog or BI catalog. If in case I think I need to add some kind of like issues in this domain glossary, I can configure it in here. So for example, by default glossary will be having the business term. So I think I need to have some of the business term in BI catalog. I can check in so that in future the BI catalog domain can also hold business term. Likewise, status. So these are the status, like initial status. Once it is ingested, any kind of asset is created or ingested, it will be candidate. If it is under any kind of workflows and if someone is reviewing, the status will be reflecting as under review. For example, if we open any kind of asset page, in here it will be showing the status of the asset. And yeah, if review is completed, the status can be changed reviewed. And yeah, if someone is like working on that asset, if it is a issue, they will be working, so the status will be in progress. And if approval is pending, the status can be approval pending and finally accepted. So this, for example, if I am having a workflow for the business term, so if I am starting the workflow, I can change the status of the like the corresponding business asset into under review inside my workflow itself. I can set the status. So I can set the status as it is in progress. Like if I like I can set, if it is a like a approval workflow, I can set the status of the particular business asset into like approval pending state likewise. And obsolete, it is like for some of the days if it is useless, like no one is like for example, if I having a workflow for checking which are the assets like the business towards is not using. So for the business term which don't have any kind of visits for 2 months or 30 days or 60 days, I can change it into obsolete. Likewise, and then I can perform operations of all the, I can check the obsolete assets and I can check whether it is valid or like whether it is needed or not. If it is not necessary, I can remove that. So yeah, these are the status. Once the Tableau dashboard is certified, it will be moved on accepted. So those kind of workflows in which we'll be incorporating the status and be changing the status inside the workflows while it is moving to each in each layer. In each step, we'll be changing the asset type as such for for showing the user in which state the asset is currently being. Likewise, I'm having the status. Yes. So articulation score. So I can define it. So for example, if for any newly ingested asset, it will be in the candidate status, and yeah, it will be the articulation score, like how much trustworthy this is. Like the articulation score will be giving the quality of the assets, so how much we can trust them. Likewise, so for any new asset, none of the business towards or anyone has checked it or any kind of, it has not been gone through any kind of workflows, so it is candidate. And for the data we have ingesting using the data source such as system or any other JDBC connection, it will be defaultly in the candidate, and the value 0 or 5 or 20 I can set it in here if I want. And if it is in progress, it is default value provided by Collibra. I can change this if I have admin access as per our requirement. And if it is in progress, I can change it to 10, and then like multiply. If it is under review, it is the value is 50%. And if everything is completed of a particular asset, and if it is in a good status, and if it is in accepted status, then I can change it to 100. So that if the value like artificial score is 100, yes, okay, this asset is like good to use. It will shows the asset quality. And we have data quality rules and validation rules. So validation rule like basically will be acting on the attributes. So for any business term, like if the business term is having a definition, it is valid. So those kind of groovy scripts I can give. So in the PPT we saw that day, like if the description is not empty, then the business asset is valid. And then like those attributes I can check and validate for a particular business term. And yes, I can validate from this domain itself. I can click check on the assets for any kind of glossaries. There will be list of business term, and I can select the business term, and if I have enabled this validation rule, then I can directly validate on that domain page. I can see, so these are the terms having a definition, and these are the term like business terms which doesn't have definition. Likewise, as per my validation rule, I can check and validate. And the data quality rule is basically like it will be on the relations. So for example, if a business term is not related to any of the data asset, then it is like the quality is like it is not in a good quality. Likewise, I can configure the rule. So the main difference between these two rules is validation rules will be acting on the attributes, and data quality rules will be mostly based on the relations. So for example, if a business term is not having any kind of code sets or code value, then it is not valid. Likewise, I can configure. Then the data quality results will be shown in the asset page. Like for for example, if I show it in here, okay, it's searching in here. So this partial payment. So yes, so we can check the status of the asset in here, and then yeah. So in as we have diagram, pictures, responsibilities. So the data quality will also be appearing in here once that is configured. So I can check like the quality, how much it will be in this left pane. Data quality, if we have the rules configured, then it also be showing in like while clicking the data quality in this left pane, then I can see the quality, like like whether the asset is passing the data quality rule or not. Likewise, so this is how it will be for a particular business term. So if I have configured this for a particular business term, then like across the Collibra, like across multiple domains and communities, I can have same kind of configuration for all the business term in Collibra. I can configure it like in here, so that the characteristic will be reflecting in all the domains and communities. Yes. So in case I need to change in some scenarios, if I want to add some of the things and remove some of the things, I can go ahead. I can change the characteristics of the asset types that is present in Collibra as a part of operating like model design. In case if you want to change, we can do this. Yes. Okay. So then next let's
Nandini,
move on this topic.
yeah,
Yes.
yeah, Nandini, one question. So on this data quality rules, right? Uh, uh, where like we are going to let's say for that business term, right? So where and how like we will put a data quality rule in the screen. So for example, they so what I'm trying to understand in this page, that let's say
I
like
which page?
yeah, I mean a business term requires a data quality rule to be applied on it. Okay. So how we'll configure that rule in this screen. So that is.
Okay. Let me show that.
Mhm.
So how to configure a data quality rule, right? Or that is the question, right? Like for demonstration purpose, I don't have access for configuring the data for setting this business term, but I theoretically can explain how to configure the data quality rule, how to create one. So I need to have global permission. So I don't have permission. That's why like in here itself, I don't see like edit option for each of the things. So for validation rule in this PT, there is a Groovy script. For data quality rule, I can show how to create a data quality rule. So yes, if it's okay, shall I show it in here? Setting.
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay. Yes. Okay. So yeah, we'll be navigating to the asset type page like business term, and then we'll be clicking the data quality rules. I'll be clicking add. So for example, so in this data quality rule, I will be having any kind of add icon in here if I have the global access, and then I will be giving the name, description, path, and the values and the metrics. For example, so the metric is the rules that define like metrics is the rules. So yeah, like the categorization, in the categorization, I'll be having the relation types. Like in the categorization, I will be adding the relation types such as business terms as acronyms, or in case of data asset is having a source data asset. Likewise, the relation types that determines the subscore of the metric. So if I want to check the quality by while like if the quality if I want to have a quality data quality rule, so like if a business term is having any kind of acronym, then it is good to go, or otherwise it is not valid. Then I can mention the relation type in here, and then so like it will be displayed in the data quality dashboard as shown in here. So we can see how many rows are like passing, how many rows are failing. So if it is in any domain, we can there may be 10 to 20 rows of business terms, and how many rows are passing and failing, passing fraction and result. So let us see this dashboard. So this is how it will be look. So yeah, traceability, responsibility, history and files, I will be having quality also. So like this, the score will be displayed, the asset quality. Okay.
Okay.
Also,
So
Nandi, one question.
Mm-hmm. Yes, one by one.
Yes, Nandi, my question was, so this data quality rules we need to set up in data quality module of like Collibra, not in DGC, right?
Yeah, yeah, like there is two options we can set via that. And like if I we have a DQ connector, and then if I have configured that with my Collibra DGC, then I can show it, or otherwise I can manually set it in here. Like this data quality
And
rules is mainly like yeah, so that data quality rule will be mainly on the like the data inside the source, like
Okay.
if the column is employee id is not null, likewise the it will be mainly focusing on the data inside present in any kind of source. This data quality rules mostly like will be on the relations, whether it has such kind of relation in Collibra or not, it will be checking that. So yeah, we
Okay,
will
so
be
this
adding
is
this.
within Collibra DGC, right?
Yes,
On the metadata itself, yeah.
yes, yes. Yeah, this is on the metadata about the like the terms and assets in Collibra. Okay. So
Yeah,
yeah, I will be for sharing this link. Hmm.
yeah. So Nandini, yeah, sorry, I lost connection in between.
Okay, okay.
So that's why, yeah. Okay, so
Yes.
yeah, so I think, yeah, Nitin already asked that question. So everything, so on the data quality rules and everything, like, we are setting up in the DQ data quality module, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you are saying, like, for each, like, term or each asset that we are on, we have to set it up, like, manually, right?
Yes.
So what,
Yes, yes.
uh, so so my question is that, like, I mean, how, because in the data quality module we may have, like, thousands of, like, so let's say, like, we connect to a data source, okay, and that data source may be having,
Mm-hmm.
like, thousands of tables, right? And
Hmm.
each table might be having, let's say, 10, 20 columns or maybe more than that.
Hmm.
When we are conducting profiling, or let's say, like, and we are finding some observations there, and we are putting
Hmm.
some data quality rule there, right? So how that I mean, configuring each in the DGC module will be will be challenging, right? So I mean, so if do we really I mean, in real case scenario, do we really configure manually one by one? I mean, if you leave aside this integration part, right? I mean, how frequently, like,
Okay.
we configure manually in the DGC module this data quality.
So
Uh,
yeah. Okay. So in this DQ connector, so for each table, do we need to have the rules like manually configuring 10 to 20 rules for each table? Like it will be a huge work you are thinking about that, right?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay. So yeah.
So I'll
So in this data quality, mhm.
no. What I'm saying is that, so say for example, you have, let's say, one table, right? And in one table, let's
Hmm.
say you have 10 columns, right? And
Hmm.
when you run a profiling, you get, like,
Hmm.
some observations highlighted by Collibra, that that, like, there are some discrepancies and all that which needs to be looked at, right? Now the next step would be, like, to put a data quality rule to remediate that, correct? So this is
Hmm.
for one table,
Yes.
I'm saying. And that rule could
Okay.
be on any of the dimensions, or maybe for multiple
Yes.
dimensions, right?
Hmm.
It could be for
Hmm.
completeness, consistency, whatnot.
Yeah.
So that is, so we are talking about
Hmm.
only one table. So similarly, like,
Okay.
there might be, like, other tables which might require this data quality, checks to be done or rules to be implemented, right? So my question is that, again, so if we are going to do it manually one by one, configure in this DGC by referring to
Hmm.
what we have implemented in the data quality module, so that, like, would be a huge exercise, right? So that is my point, that
Like I'm like, so do we in this DGC we are going to implement the ideas whichever is we have in DQ connector, like that is the question. Like in here, uh, are you asking in data quality rules in here we have to configure
correct.
one by
Yeah,
one, or
yeah, right here only.
no?
So in
Yes,
this,
yes. Okay,
so
okay.
how,
So yes, so this data quality rule is mostly on the relation. So it's so in DGC usually we don't import like we don't have the actual data. It is only we have metadata, the column names and all. So this in this data quality we can configure the relations, we can check the quality of the relations. So for example, a business term, the main motto of the business term is like, for example, I'm having a business term profit, and I have to group all the data assets related to profit. related to profit with this business term. So if the business asset, business term profit is there, and I don't have any kind of relation with any of the data assets in the Collibra DGC, then it is like a unnecessary thing. Likewise, for quality, for like this quality in this data quality rules, we'll be checking the quality of the relations. For example, if a issue, it should be related to any kind of data asset. Then only the issues is then get good quality. Likewise, this data quality rule is mostly based on the relations that we have in Collibra, but that data quality rule in the DGC, like DQ connector, is mostly on the data, like the actual data, whichever it is in reality, the physical layer.
Okay.
So that is the
Okay.
difference.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's not
Yeah.
the same thing which you mean,
Mhm.
right?
Yes. Yes. As
Okay.
yes.
Okay, fine. Okay.
Okay. And yeah,
Mm.
and also we are having DQ lab. So on that time we can see how
Yeah,
much
yeah.
And
So
one
yeah,
like
what
thing,
I want.
access we have. We can so to that.
Yeah, yeah. Sorry, Nitin. Just
yeah.
one thing. Yeah. So
Mhm.
Nandini, so this screen, right? This asset quality that you are showing, right? So this is what I wanted to
Mm-hmm.
understand. Like, how? So what are these scores? Like, when we are talking about this accuracy and this different dimension scores. So is it not on the data? I mean, I think this this pie that they are showing, right? Is from that data
Yeah.
quality score rule on
This
the
is for
DGC
like
model.
asset data quality. Like it is a like this metrics or like whatever they are showing in here. It is like directly all this is for the asset quality, not like the like it is the Colibras asset quality, not like the actual table quality.
Okay. Okay, fine. Uh, okay. Okay,
I
fine.
I thought otherwise. I mean, uh, so like there are two things, right? One data quality that we will have on DGC, one is on the like a data quality
Like
module,
actual
right? On DGC,
data connect.
we cannot have this accuracy, completeness, and this has to be had on the actual data, isn't it? The current screen.
Like so whatever rules we have like configured based on that, it is complete or consistent or so based on the rules it is showing this metrics.
Absolutely, yeah. My question was to, is this from the DGC screen or it's a data quality screen? This one, this matrix.
DGC screen only.
Okay, okay, sorry. Yeah.
Yes, yes, no problem, no problem. Yeah, we have traceability, responsibility, history files in here. Like so, yeah. If I open any kind of asset, we can see. So yeah, so we have history files, responsibilities. Likewise, in this pane, we can see that.
Okay.
Okay, so
And then data quality rules will be for the business terms only or anything else?
no, no, no. Like any kind of asset up to us. So for like if I want to configure like this data quality for any data asset or data domain or any kind of assets in Collibra, we can configure and then we can check the quality of the asset. So whether if unpaid is having any kind of acronym, then it is good to go. Likewise, I can check the quality.
Got it.
So yeah, it is applicable across all the assets. Yes. Okay. So yep. So then let's get into this workflows. So first, let's see what the workflow is. And yeah, for configuring this workflow, we should have this Eclipse installed in our machine. So all the workflows will be in the BPMN file. So that is business process modeling notation. So we will be like in Talent, we will be dragging and dropping and we'll be creating the flow, and then we'll be writing scripts for each elements. Likewise, in workflows also there will be a BPMN file in which we'll be doing all this. And yeah, so for this setup, we need to install Eclipse and then Groovy inside this in here. Help install in Eclipse Marketplace. We have to install Groovy, and then we need to install Flowable project. So I will be sending the details like what are the requirements and what are the procedure for setting up this workplace. I'll be sending you that PDF. Yes, once everything is in place, and yeah, we can have this. So yeah, this is how like in this Eclipse Studio we are going to edit the workflows and we to create the workflows. Yes, let's see it in here.
Uh, Nandini, Vinod here.
Yes.
So So, are you going to in the future classes? Are you going to show how to create the rules for the specific business term or the catalog? Are you going to take care of it, or the quality
So,
part?
like in
Mm-hmm.
the Collibra data quality DQ connector lab is pending,
Mm-hmm.
but this this for adding a data quality rule in here, I am don't have access. So that only I'm like in
What
documentation
does
I'm
this
showing
here means? What does that here means? Uh,
here.
like,
Sorry,
what like you are saying to here you need some access. Like what does that here means? Like is that
like the
um,
global
in the
access I
catalog
need.
thing that you
I
are
need the
referring, or
global permission admin. Like
uh,
I need to have the global permission across the like if I have a quality rule in here, it will be applicable to all the business term. So if we see there are like thousands of like communities in here, so all the communities will be having the data quality rule assigned. So I should have a global access across all the communities, so the global admin role. So if I have the access in this lab, I can go ahead and delete this kind of work. Because of that reason, they are providing access for only single community. So in this lab, I am having access for only this community, like this enterprise community 00497. So this is the only community I have access. So I'm adding the communities and domains here. So if I have the global access, like admin access, the edit access over all the community, then I can do that.
uh-huh. So okay, but there is a quality module domain training that you are going to provide, right?
Yes, DQ connector, that is about.
So see, in because majority, quality play quality addition of the validation rules, quality rules plays a key role. Whether it's because the glossary part, is nothing but just adding all your business glossaries, and also the next immediate step is
Mm,
looking at the quality, right? If that is not going to be a part of training, then I don't think this makes any sense of having this, because see, we add all the business terms to Collibra. That's fine. That's a good topic that you have covered up. Okay, but after that, the critical
mhm.
part is like how do we add those rules, because I've been working like the same thing I have done in the different frameworks. Okay, so say for
Mhm.
example, if a product project is going out, so I need to help out not only on the profiling part, but I do have some other defined quality rules also. Okay, I need to apply. So for example, one field, generally the field is the business term I'm calling as, like has n number of rules. Okay, I need to apply the rules. That
Yes.
particular field need to come out saying that these many rules are there. Basing on that, your quality for this particular stands at this, or this metric stands at here. Like say for
Okay.
example, there are
I
rule
got it.
books.
Yes,
Okay,
yes. So,
so
okay. I
is
got
the
it.
are you going to cover in this training, or that's what my question? Because
No.
rule books are there. Okay, rule books are there. There is a data quality rule is there, and we can convert that data quality rule for predefined assets into data quality metric. So are this part of training? Like
So you're
you
talking
might be
about
aware of,
this
right?
data quality rule, or
Mhm. Let
so
me
the
complete.
you're
Uh-huh.
talking about this data quality rule in this, or
See,
otherwise
basically
DQ
what.
connector.
No, 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 no. See, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. That's the reason I'm asking you. So, see, I am aware there is a rule book concept in Collibra, okay, where I can add all the rules in one particular place, and I can configure the rules and I can assign the assets. So, is it the part of quality module? I was not aware of that, but there is a rule book in Collibra where we can create all the rules and we can assign it to the specific fields, or that what you call that committees or whatever it may be. So is it part of the module, or is this part
That
of
is
this? Uh-huh.
like that is separate. Like so, those will be made that like data assets and technology assets and business asset. Like there is a separate domain. Like that is like this data quality is about whether the business asset in a good quality or not. So that rule book that assets are will be concentrating on whether we are following the rules, whichever is actually in place. If I'm having the retention period of this domain, this committee, so if this committee holds all the patient data or all the health data, like data related to health of a particular client or a particular customer, then in that rule, if I have that, I have configured a rule, so that should be like kept in the source, like in the data lake. This should be only placed for 2 years. Then I can check that rule. So that rule is like important implementing the policies provided by government and our organization. So this data quality rule is for checking the asset quality inside this Collibras. So that is a generalized one.
So that's what I'm asking. Are this part of this training, or it is not
Like
there?
if you want to see how to add a rule inside Collibras data DGC, we can see. Yeah, I will like tomorrow. Let me show how to add a rule in this domain. Like as importing the business terms and as importing the other data sets, we can add the rules too. Like it is a
Oh,
data set, right? Yeah. Okay.
okay, sure.
Okay. Then okay. So let's get into this workflow then. Okay. So these are the out of the workflows in Collibras we can directly download from this marketplace. Like defaultly Collibra is providing this kind of workflows, and then if we want to like customize, we can customize it. So yeah, if we see the resource based workflows approval process and assign owner to a data set and cancel process if we are like if you want to cancel access to a particular people for a particular data set likewise, and escalation process if the issue is not met, then if I want to escalate, so I can initiate this workflow, and how to management and how for issue like moving on issues, so we have a workflow and post data ingestion workflow which we saw the day we discussed about for this workflows. So if I'm ingesting any data, if I have enabled this post data ingestion workflow, then if the workflow is start and it will be asking for me to assign a technical data steward and business data steward and committee manager, data custodians. So like whatever the roles like mandated in the workflow, it will be prompting the data owner to assign, and then yes, provide comments and rating likewise. So whenever data source is ingested, this workflow will be starting. If I have enabled this workflow, likewise we have request access asset success. So if I want to request access, I can shop for the data and add it into a data basket, and I can start this workflow and simple approval and voting sub process. So this kind of workflows we have, and then these are the global workflows. So this is like mostly like depend on a particular kind of resource. Like for I will be requesting access of this resource belongs to customer likewise. So these are the global workflows. We can say there is no need like everyone can start and as a logged in user I can log a issue, I can propose a new business asset like blue the system or code value. So these are global workflows. Like it is not dependent on any kind of resources such as like for if I want to like for this workflow it will be dependent on the resource that we are ingesting. So once the resource is getting ingested into Collibra, this workflow will start. But this for this kind of global workflows we don't have any context. I can directly go and start and I can propose a new business system likewise. It is not dependent on anything. I can directly propose any kind of assets. Like yeah, these are the global workflows. Yeah, so for starting any workflows we will be there is a in dashboard if we have having the workflow widget I can go ahead, or otherwise in global create I can check in actions I can check the workflows available. Let me show that in Kolibra. Just a minute, I will be logging in this workflow lab and sharing again. So yes, so yeah, so in this dashboard, we can see like propose a new business term, propose like this of the workflows are configured in this dashboard. So we can directly, if the workflows are being configured in the dashboard, we can directly start it from here. Or otherwise, in this global create button, in this actions, I can see the workflows for emailing users, like email users immediately. Like these kind of workflows are there. Like I can search it in here for the workflow I have created. 703. So these are the workflows I have created. Likewise, I can search it, and if I click, it will be starting the workflow. So these are the two options. Or otherwise, if workflow is particularly related to any kind of business term, for example, if for proposing any like if I have enabled a simple approval for any business term, I can check in the asset page, and these are the workflows so approval process. So So I can start it from here also, the asset page. So if I click here, it will be starting the workflow. Yes. So yeah. So these are two methods how we will be starting a workflow. And then, so yeah, for creating a workflow, we'll be having the start, like these are the elements that we'll be using for any workflows. So we'll be checking that. So in Eclipse, if we see, so this here we'll be having, so I can drag and drop it from here, and then I can use it in here. So for the start event, end event, task, container, gateway, boundary event, we'll be seeing what like each element is meant for. Let's just have a brief on that. Like this event, within event we have start event and end event. Start event will be having this element while starting any kind of workflow. It will be having this element, and in end event, like while the workflow comes to an end, we'll be having the end event. And in intermediate event, it is not mandatory. If we want, we can have. And this is like any kind of activity, like script task, user task will be there. So it will be mentioned in this rectangular box. And gateway. So for example, if we say if user A accept the decision, then like and user like the variable will be stored and it will be coming into the flow, will be flowing in here. And if user B accept the decision and it will be flowing in here. So for this icon will be checking the decision. So if A is okay, A is true and B is true, it will be, if it is and, it will be checking whether both the like a flow is true, it will be giving a true output, or otherwise it is a false output. Likewise, we have this gateways. So XOR, like it will be taking decision based on XOR. And if we are, or if any one is right, then the result will be true. Likewise, if any of the data stores A or B, if anyone accepted, then give me the output as accepted. Likewise, we are having this much gateways, XOR and even base database, and then OR. So, and we have sequence flow for connecting the start event with any kind of activity, and then connecting the end event. We have sequence flow. This is normal flow, will be this like this, and exception flow. Like if we are having any boundary event, for example, if I'm waiting for this task to be completed for 5 days, and then if still not completed, then move on to this way. Likewise, I can mention in case of exception how we need to handle that. Likewise, we have. And for example, this is the approval process workflow. Let's see how will be like what is the process going on behind this. And if you see, the user can start the workflow, and then it will be going on to this review definition. So if any kind of element is in this like dark one, then it is another workflow. Like it is a call activity actually. In this call activity, we'll be calling some other workflow. So this call activity will be calling this review definition, and yeah. So this the subject matter expert should will be like involving in this workflow, and he should review the definition. And if he provides accepted, then it will be moving to under review. If he rejects that this business term, like this approval is not required, and if he rejects, it will be moving on to this rejected definition. So in case if we accepted, it will be moving like in this flow, it will be moving on to provide command for it will be prompting the stakeholder will be tasked with this one for adding command. So it will task this, it will like invoke this workflow. So yes, so in this workflow we can the stakeholder needs to create like it will be creating a comment variable, and it will be asking this kind of task is a user task. So this will be asking the user in here stakeholder for providing the comment, and it will store the comment. So these are the user task icon. This is script task. Likewise, we have. And then this once this workflow ended, so this is like a time boundary event. So it will be waiting for 5 business days, like 3 business days, or any kind of time we can give. So yeah, if this is done, if it is completed, then it will be moving on to process commands. So if the time limit exceeds like for 5 business days, the stakeholder is not provided any command, then also it will be moving to this process commands. And then the comments will be stored in the data asset. And then it is calling the vote for approval. It is approaching the steward for approval whether you are approving or not. Like uh, it will be triggering that vote sub process, that that workflow. And then if the workflow is like ends in a good state, then if it is accepted, then the flow will be moving as mark as accepted. And then it will be notifying stakeholders that the data stewards are provided access to the workflow. access, like accepted this approval, and then it will notify the start user that your definition is approved by the stewards, and then it will be coming to an end. Just a minute, guys. Okay, so yeah, so yes, so in case of rejection, it will notify the stakeholders that business stewards has rejected this approval, and also the start user will be notified with this, and yeah, and I can end it from there, or otherwise, if I want to review the definition, if I want to add a new, like in this case, it will be not the start user will be notified that the definition is rejected by the stewards, and then in this case, the review definitions are again called, and like the subject matter expert will be rejecting that in this time as steward is not accepting. Then it will be like the user will be notified that the definition is rejected. Likewise, we can configure the workflow in Eclipse. We can add the required elements. We can drag and drop, and then for each element, we'll be adding the required scripts, Groovy scripts or JavaScript in JavaScript language we can use, and then we'll be deploying the workflow in Collibra, and then we can enable it from there. We'll be seeing that how to deploy. So now let's just get a brief about the elements that are in the Eclipse Studio. So what are the elements that we can use for configuring our workflow? Is
But Nandi, before that,
yeah, I think
isn't
Nitin is
all
about.
these isn't the all these workflow are inbuilt in Colibra? I don't know, right? If you have created one business asset or business term, basically, shouldn't all those workflow are like automatically attached to that, right?
We
For
can.
each asset, we need to create a different workflow. I don't know.
Okay. Like whether the workflow is already present in Collibra while we are having a new DCC, or
Yes.
otherwise we need to configure that you're asking. So some of the
Yes.
workflow samples are there. Like yeah. So the 10, like if we see this one, these are the like Collibra itself provides this template, and then we can directly incorporate the template as per our requirement. Like for example, for requesting access. So if we think for requesting access, all the request access should meet like a particular person will be there, and he will be reviewing the request access and he will be providing the access. If I want to configure that, then I can do so. So in some cases, we'll be having different committees, and for each committee, some people should look into the people and they can decide whether the access can be given or provided or not. Likewise, we need to configure the basic template we can get from Collibras marketplace for this one, and as per we can directly incorporate that in most of the cases. As per our operating model, we need to change. For example, if this request access asset access is having only one data steward for approval, it will be reaching only one data steward. But for a particular committee, I am having 2 to 3 data stewards. So if one person is on leave, I thinking the workflow should prompt response from some other data steward. Likewise, I can configure according to our needs. So these are the templates like we can get from Progress Marketplace, and we can incorporate in our DGC. Yes. Okay. So yes. Just a minute, guys. Okay, we can continue. Okay. So we have pool and Streamlined. So this will be the vertebra, that will be the backbone for any of the workflows. First, we have to like have a pool, And then in pool we can have multiple lanes. So for this lane, the user task will be like prompting response from stewards. Like if I have any kind of user like ID group, business group, so if I want to get response from them, then in this lane I can like configure their role in here, so that whatever user task in here, it will be prompting response from the respective user, steward, or a community manager as such. So this is the pool and this is the lane, and we'll be having start and end events. So yeah, start event will be like this when the process start, and end event will be like this in the final, like the final flow will be reaching at this end of the path. So if we see here, so this is the entire pool. The pool is approval process. This is the lanes, like the multiple lanes. And if the start user is like, for if this lane is configured with the start user, so notification will be sent to start user. So if I have like note, like I have notify stakeholders in here. So this notification will be sent to this stakeholder. Likewise, for in like if it is in a provide command, so there is a user task in this lane. So stakeholder should be acting upon this user task. Likewise, I can divide the lanes, and I can add if I think the data steward should perform this action, then I can have those kind of script tasks in here. Likewise, so we'll be having different lanes and pools. One pool, and in pool there will be multiple swim lanes, and we have user task. So like provided user task will be with this icon, like provide command as we saw. So like user task will be asking the response from any kind of user, like a human actor. He need to perform like this user task will be, for example, if I want to have some command from the stakeholder, then I can create the user task in that lane. And then if I have this field, then the like this stakeholder can provide comment in here. Yes. When the process execution arrives at such user task, a new task is created in the task list of the user. For example, for in this case, while the workflow reaches this state, like the workflow someone has started, and subject matter expert has reviewed the definition and he is accepted. And while this like when the user task, when the flow reaches the user task, then the stakeholder will be having a task assigned in this Collibras task. So for example, if I am a business steward, I can check the task assigned to me. Likewise, this user task will assign a task to the stakeholder, and then the stakeholder needed to be acted upon that. Likewise, and we have form and from properties. For example, for requesting access, I need to get multiple inputs, like till which date I need to give the access, and what are the things like the like I need to reason why I'm raising this request, and like for what I'm working for. Likewise, if I want to get multiple inputs from a user, I can have this form like this. And yeah, so the user task, if this user task in here, there are only one box for providing comments. Likewise, I can have multiple input fields for providing it will be prompting users to fill all the fields. Likewise, if I want to have multiple, I want to get multiple inputs from the user, like for example, for one data request access, I need to get multiple details. Then I can use this form properties. I can use form in the user task. And yeah, so this each for example, so the name, the type I need to like. So for example, for this command, it will be for example, it might be a paragraph, or it might be a text, or it might be a number. Or likewise, I need to give the type, whether there will be a string input, or like it is a button. They will be choosing one among the two, or likewise we will be configuring this command, and the variables that will be passed in this command in here. Likewise, whether it is readable, writable, required, we'll be seeing that. Likewise, I will be configuring that in the from property. So if I think, like if you see what is readable and writable, so if readable is true, then like when the workflow is running, it will be like it will be visible to the users. For example, the comment, it is readable true, so the stakeholder can see this box and he can provide his comment in here. If it is false, then it can be only configured from the Collibra platform. Like if it is false, that particular box is false, then user can't be like in the workflow, he can't edit it. But if we have admin access, we can edit it in this Collibras like workflows. Like from the back end, we can do modification on the particular field. If it is true, from the front end, like in the user interface, we can add the comments. Yeah. So for writable, so if the writable is true, then the user can change the current value. Like this, if the comment writable is true, then I can add a particular comment in, like I can provide a variable in here and I can save it. If it is required, and if I set the status to required, then like it will be like mandatory. So compulsorily this field that should like, for example, for request access, we are having 10 kind of form variables. For example, say one is for reason and another one is for like a description, and the another one is for start date and end date. And I'm mandating, I'm making required this reason, start date and end date, and description is not mandatory likewise. So even if the user does not fill this description, he will be able to proceed likewise. So we can mark some certain fields as required. And form types, so what are the input types that we can give in the form? For example, if we see this form, we can give a string, line of text area. If it's a multi-line, if it is a paragraph, then we can have a like text area. So if I'm giving a string in this one, then only one line comment, like one line like only one sentence will can be provided as input for this. So if I'm having a text in here, then I can give a paragraph input in here. For example, the reason and all, there will be multiple lines. So better we can go with this text area data type. And long, whether a whole number or boolean, true or false. So like you are already, you have access to Collibra, true or false. Like these kind of questions you can give this boolean. And date time, if for start date and end date, we can give this date time. And if I want to upload a file, I can give this option in here. Likewise, radio box and checkbox. So yeah, whether you have this kind of access in Collibra, we can check one by one. Likewise, we can check box input we can get from form, and paying, and this button, like this kind of button, value 1 or value 2, value 3, we can select among this one. Likewise, this kind of form we can have, and we can get input from the user in this form. If I'm starting a request access workflow, I need to answer all the questions mentioned in the form, which are mandatory, like this. So this is about form, and we have exclusive gateways. So if you see exclusive, so exclusive gateway is used for modeling a decision in the process. Like if this person is accepting, then like move into this flow. If this person rejected this approval, then move into the like some other flow. Likewise, we can have decision using this exclusive gateway. Yeah, that is I mentioned in here. Like if the condition is true, then it will be flowing on this path. If the condition is false, it will be moving on this way. Likewise, we have exclusive gateway, and we have boundary even, like for setting a time limit for users. So if a business steward is tasked with voting for approval and he is taking too much of time, for example, business stewards in most cases they will be like as they are like concerned with this Collibra system, they might give response immediately. But the stakeholders, they might have some other like they will be like having the overall responsibilities. So they might or might not be interested in providing the comments. So I think even if stakeholder is not providing comments for 5 business days, then I can proceed with the next step. Likewise, I can have a boundary event. So if this task, if user is not uh, like this user is not like processing the task for 5 business days, then move on to this flow. Likewise, I can have, I can set the time and I can wait, and then the flow can be like redirected to some other. Likewise, we have time boundary even. This is the icon for that. And we have service task in workflow, and service task like implements a Java execution. Like if this is like mark as accepted. If the business steward is accepting the approval and if this variable is true, then mark as accepted. So like the status of the asset will be changed to accepted, or the status of the asset will be changed to rejected. We'll be checking a certain condition, and then if the condition is fine, then it will be marked as accepted or rejected. Likewise, we have server stars and call activity. So it is reusable, and call activity refers to process that is external to the workflow. So this vote for approval workflow is like a completely a different workflow which is in Collibra, that is voting subprocess. This is that subprocess. So using this call activity, I can call and trigger that workflow. So if you see the process of voting subprocess, we can see it here. Like this call activity is used for triggering some other workflow which is in Collibra in accordance with this workflow. So other than that, we have subprocess. So inside inside a workflow, we have another sub workflow in here. So yeah, it is not reusable. Only once it will be triggered for the first time. Like if it is running in a loop, for example, if we see it in here, like if in case of rejection, it will be again moving on to stay subject matter expert, and then he can alter something and he can again redo this flow. Like it is an infinite loop maybe. So in that case, if it is again and again this workflow is running, again and again it need not to be stakeholder is not to be like stakeholder once if he has provided command, that is enough. So if we want to have certain things one time, then we can have in this subprocess. But this call activity, it is reusable. Again, the business steward will be reviewing the definition and he will be making some definition changes, and then again they can see what are the changes made and again they can vote for approval. But the comment is one time event. So it will reach a city as it is one time, as it is already provided, then the process will be moving on like this. So yeah, so in this scenario, we'll be seeing I am a sysadmin, so I'm going to perform some changes in the console or something platform. So I need to send a mail to all of the users in Collibra. So how to do this via workflow, we'll be seeing that. Before that, look into Collibra once, and then let's come into this Java API. So Collibra's workflow, just let's have a look. See this one. For checking the workflows, I need to go to the settings page and workflows definitions. So whatever workflow I have configured with my Eclipse, I can upload it in here. If I don't have any kind of error, mostly my process ID, like my pool ID should be unique. For this pool, there may be like there is an ID and name. This should be unique. So if I am using so this much users already having like configure some of the workflows, so my pool ID should be unique among them. So if pool ID is unique, it will be like if I have the admin access, I can directly upload the file in here, and then it will be listed in here. So I can check that. So this much of workflows are there in Collibra in this VGC. I can check the workflows in here. So let me open one of the workflows. So let's open this email user immediately. So I'm opening this workflows definition. So for this workflow, what a description I have made, like I can edit the description. So what this workflow does. So it will be very like easy to understand. So the workflow, I have added this description. It will be sending an email to the user or group, and yeah, likewise, what the workflows, what are the things I have used, what are the process I'm having in this workflow, I can mention it in here, description I can edit, and start label, like the name of this workflow, the start label is nothing but the name of the workflow, and start event. So in some cases, we can have an event based workflow. If someone is if someone is deleting a domain, then start this workflow. like that event will be triggering this. So this data ingestion workflow, post data ingestion workflow is also a event based workflow. If someone is registering a data source and someone is refreshing, like ingesting the data source, just a minute, guys. So if someone is ingesting any data source and someone is like ingesting any kind of Excel files inside Collibra, then the post data ingestion workflow, if we have enabled, it will start based on that event, and then it will be asking the user to set the business to a data store likewise. So we can have event based workflow. So some kind of event, if it is happening inside Collibra, it will be triggered. And then and applies to, it is global. So if this workflow applies to only particular domain or a particular committee, I can add that. So if it is global, it can be used across all the like it can be accessed entirely. Like if it is for example request access, so I limit it only for this committee, then only this committee for raising access for this committee or this domain will be using that. So if I kept it global, like anyone can use from the direct global create button. And then the rules, who can start the workflow, who can stop the workflow, and who can reassign the task inside the workflow. I can edit sources admin or any particular user group can do this likewise. So yeah, I can configure the roles. So if I have configured the sysadmin, only sysadmin can start this workflow likewise. And what are the variables I'm using in this workflow? That will be listed in here. Like who are the recipients. So for this email, I'm using variable for getting like the usernames in which like the mail IDs of the users to whom the mail should be triggered. Likewise, what are the variables I'm using inside the workflow will be listed in here, and I can select this. So whether any signed in user can start the workflow, yes, I'm checking that. Like during the workflow start, like whether I need to check the candidate user. So if whether they have access, like if there is like for example this is candidate users check workflow. Like if I'm having in my workflow I'm having some of the tasks configured for stakeholders, and some of the task business towards should be doing, and some of the task like adding comments I will be having community managers for that. Likewise, if I have 4 of the roles inside my workflow, if I check this, it will be checking whether all the roles mentioned inside workflow is actually there. For example, a committee manager should add comments in my workflow, like I have configured like that. And if I don't have community manager for a particular committee, then it will not start. Likewise, the user check whether this workflow only once at the time on a specific resource, for a particular resource for a particular business term. If multiple, like I have already for example, I have created a business asset and I have just started the workflow, and if I deselected this, I can multiple times start the workflow, and multiple times the task will be assigned to the stakeholders. So better to check this. So if one workflow for business term, for example, I'm started approval process. So like until this is completed, I can't start another workflow, another approval process for that business term. Likewise, and show in global create. If I check this, I can have this in here. In this global create, I can see this name. For example, inside this action, or I can directly search from there 00704. So yeah, email